What's going on, everybody? It is Thursday, July 12th. The gigantic Wednesday slate is over. We've got a tiny one with what might be the best pitching slate of the year. Just absolutely loaded. I'm excited to dive in because there are things that are happening in my exposures that are just weird, in my opinion. Jake, how did your Wednesday go?
Wednesday was decent. Stayed afloat. Had some decent finishes in tournaments, but nothing huge. And yeah, you said it, man. This is the best pitching slate I can remember, and for only 7 games. But even if you go to like the 6:05 game, Phillies, Orioles has good pitching options, and then the 2 early games have really good pitching too. So I'm scared to see what tomorrow looks like.
Yeah,
because I don't like all of them ended up on one day, and a lot of them are cheap. You got like Tyon and Gibson, guys that we like playing that are just like $2K underpriced, it seems like. So it'll be fun to sift through all this. Hopefully we get some good interaction from chat as well.
Yeah, get your questions in as we're talking about particular games. We'll do some more in-depth questions at the end to make it a little bit easier. I think we're just ready to dive in.
Yeah.
People are going to trickle in since it's 6:15 a.m. West Coast time. Got a cup of Joe, which I forgot to fill back up. So whenever we get to a particularly interesting pitching matchup, I'm walking downstairs to get more coffee.
Sure. So every game?
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, one of these will be one where you like both guys, so you'll have a lot to dive into. Let me retweet the links first. Freddie Ramirez, are you late? I mean, you got here like a minute after we started, so depends on your definition of late.
Nah, we're just getting into it.
Yeah.
Freddie, we're good.
We haven't done a single thing yet. Yeah, can we talk about Alex getting a home run call correct last night?
Yeah, just comes on, nails it. It's nothing.
You know who didn't get one? Me, unfortunately.
The streak is broken, but you'll be back. You'll be back.
Still 6 in 11 days, so still batting above 500.
Ryan H got roasted with one of my pitching options last night because I went with an A value pick. What other factors are you considering besides letter ranks and ownership? I mean, I dig into almost all the pitchers every slate. So, I mean, some of the cheap guys we were on were, and it's a lot easier to be on like a bunch of cheap guys when you have a bunch of lineups to play with because you're mitigating risk by playing a bunch of them. So I was on, like, we talked about Marco Gonzalez. He had 26 on DK.
I was happy for you when I woke up. Well, I was
too.
happy for us.
Yeah, I was happy that we went through that and it was good results. I just didn't want him to get rocked after we did all that and talked about how maybe he was a different pitcher. So he was 7K.
He didn't miss any bats, but like, still.
Yeah,
I mean, he gave only 2 hits and went 7.
It's
I think.
tough.
So.
Right, it's tough to continually miss bats after making 3 starts in the same month against the same team. So we had Marquez, and that was just a play. He was going to get a lot of righties. He had been good lately. He was another guy like Marco that was missing more bats. And yeah, it was scary playing him in Coors, but you figured he was going to have run support, maybe get some low stress innings. And that's exactly what happened because the Rockies jumped out to a huge lead.
Yeah.
I
had a lot of Marquez yesterday, which was nice.
Me too. Well, compared to the field, for sure. I think I had the field at least tripled up.
Yeah.
Who were some other cheap guys that we had last night, and why?
Already forgetting who played yesterday.
Gaviglio, he was one that didn't work out.
No, it didn't.
In fact, if you had him, he was one of the guys I had probably like 15-20% of. And
Rodon rolled, but that was one I couldn't get to.
I didn't get to Rodon. I just didn't see the strikeout upside. But
we probably should have looked at him a little bit deeper because of the Cardinals' ownership.
True. Did they end up being that chalky in like the low dollar stuff? Oh, Straley?
I think so. Straley was fine. He was the guy that I had a bunch of.
Yeah. I mean, him doing well probably hurt me quite a bit because, I mean, I had that sick performance out of Marquez a lot of places. I had the Marco performance a bunch, and then for Straley to put up like 18 or 19, whatever he had, it just kind of washed that all away because a lot of people had him.
I mean, ultimately, none of it matters because the Indians and the Rockies both scored 19 runs. So pitching didn't matter all that much. If you had an Indians Rockies line, you were going to cash even without having pitching.
Yep. Nice sack.
Oh my God.
Wait, Ray?
Must be. Probably just means.
Oh, Sonny Gray. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That was the other guy we were talking about. So, I mean, I liked Sonny. He just had a good matchup against Baltimore, and sometimes you just got to take risks on these guys that look shaky but have good matchups because you just never know. And Sonny Gray's got huge home road splits, much better on the road for whatever reason. But there are reasons to play a bunch of these guys, and some worked out and some didn't. That's usually how it's going to go.
Who did I have? I had Marquez in my. Wait, no, I had Luke Weaver in the quarter arcade in the lineup that finished 8th, but I had the Colorado Cleveland stack. So I had a one-off Jose Martinez in the utility spot, and he only had 3 points. Would have been interesting to see if that popped a different direction.
Yeah.
But Cargo, 57.8. Charlie Blackmon, 44. Kipnis, 34. Like, it was just a monster lineup. And I was still 30 points off the leader. Oh.
That's always the worst. You got that ugly-looking 0 or 3 in your lineup.
Yeah.
That's otherwise just going nuclear. I had that same thing. I had Matt Ben Decker as a punt. And he was 2,500 on TK. And I had him in my Rockies. I had a 4-3 Rockies Indians stack. And just a 0 sitting there.
I got to thank the boss for it. If he wouldn't have, mentioned going to more expensive stacks because of the ownership, I forced in a bunch of Indians like right before lock, which obviously paid some dividends.
Yeah. That's why he's the DFS GOAT. That's why he makes all the money and we don't. Well, not all the money. We make some of the money.
Yeah. He makes he's the 1%.
Right.
Ready to dig in?
Yeah, I'm ready. We got enough people in chat.
Brewers and Pirates. Brewers, 4-run implied total. Pirates, 4.4. 55% chance to win for the Pirates. Wade Miley going for Milwaukee. Jameson Taillon going for Pittsburgh. And, oh, baby, Taillon going to be popular. 5,700 on DraftKings. We're projecting 32% ownership. I like it quite a bit. I won't get to 32, but I'll have a lot of Taillon. I have a little bit more Wade Miley than we're projecting, considering we're projecting 1%. So, do you like Wade Miley at all?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, if he's gonna go completely unowned, he's one of the cheapest pitchers, if not the cheapest pitcher, on the slate tonight. If he's gonna go unowned, I don't think this is a terrible matchup for him in Pittsburgh. It's not a super great hitter's park, and he's pretty decent at limiting hard contact and then gets a ton of ground balls. Always has. He's actually not that great against lefties. He's not great against righties either, but kind of neutral splits it looks like, at least last year. And I don't know. I mean, if he's just going to go completely overlooked and everyone's going to go to Taillon, and everyone's going to go to people even going to go to Gibson.
It's Matz that's the problem. Matz is 14% right now.
Sure.
I know the salary difference is dramatic there, but it's only 1,200. Wait, no, that's not. I'm looking at the wrong salary here. 59, 47.
No, you're good.
Yeah, 1,200. Yeah. So it's a step up, but it's not really like a step up. 5,900 is still bargain priced. If Matz is going to be 14% and Miley is 1, that's what makes me like Miley more. Taillon is in a different tier for me. Right. I think he's just good.
He definitely is good, especially against righties. He's very, very good against righties. Against lefties, he's got some issues. The problem with Miley is he's returning from the DL. I don't know what kind of pitch count he'll be on.
True.
So I can look up and see if did he make a rehab start? Anyways, I mean, I don't think Miley is a fantastic play by any means, but I wouldn't be shocked if he got you like 15. And we've seen it where all these low price guys get blown up at chalk, and then you have the one guy that's okay. You're going to be in a good spot because these expensive pitchers, a handful of them are going to go 30 plus points.
Yeah.
So if the bats also go crazy, the expensive bats, you're going to need them too. So.
So what do you think about Tyon at 32%? I mean, it seems reasonable just because of his price.
Yeah,
but I feel like you're a little bit more pessimistic because of the lefties in the Brewers lineup.
A little bit. I'm a little bit wary of the lefties. I certainly understand why Tyon's chalk, and I'm not fading him completely. Absolutely not. I think he's a very good play. Even if he was 7,700, I think he would be a pretty good play here, just because of how good he is against righties. A 282 xFIP, 51% ground ball rate, not giving up a lot of line drives, not giving up a lot of hard contact, 27% K rate. That's the kind of pitcher you want to play against a team that's going to have 5 righties, and then the pitcher spot in there, or is it 4? Whatever. But it depends on their lineup, I guess.
Yeah.
Against lefties, Tyon a little bit worse, 17.5% K rate, a 462 xFIP, fewer ground balls, like more hard contact, whatever. He's fine against both, but lefties are certainly his weak spot.
Oh. Yeah, I'll have a bunch of them because he grades out really well. Tyon has the highest percentage of being a top 2 value pitcher for the slate, and he's also 5th for me in just simply upside, so that combination makes him incredibly popular on my end. But Wade Miley, 33% chance of being a top 2 value pitcher. Obviously, because of the $4,700 price point, it's easier for him to be a good value per dollar compared to someone else. He is second worst in upside. So I'm going to have a bit of Wade Miley because I think that he works and allows me to fit in more expensive bats on a day where we're probably going to be concentrating a lot of ownership in expensive guys. So I'm going to try to get some Wade Miley, which will allow me to get to like the Yankees or more of the Red Sox, maybe more of the Angels, depending on how things look. Just bats that I wouldn't normally pay for.
Yeah. And then just going back to Miley's pitch count. So he threw 66 pitches on the 3rd of July. And then 4 days later, he started again through 57. So that makes sense. 4 days later, short rest. Now he'll be on a full 5 days since he last pitched. I would think like 75, 80, maybe 85 is a decent range. And that's fine for 4,700. You need him to get 5 innings and maybe give you a chance at the win. And I think he's got a pretty decent chance to do that, and that's not reflected in his ownership.
Agreed. So bats here. Pirates, number 2 stack on FanDuel, number 1 stack on DK. I'm loading up. If Austin Meadows is hitting leadoff, I'm willing to have a bunch of him, even in a lefty-lefty matchup. But Starling Marte, David Freese, Cervelli, Bell, Harrison, Mercer. I like all of these righties here against Wade Miley. I'll limit it a bit if Miley's not going to get any ownership, but I'm still going to be pretty heavy on the Pirates. They're also decently chalky, projecting out at, let's see, the 3rd most ownership on DK and 2nd most ownership on FanDuel.
Is that just because they fit? I don't think it's that great of a matchup against Miley.
I mean,
I'm
outside of the Red Sox, they have the 2nd highest implied total at 4.4. So it's a price thing for sure.
Okay.
You know, Dave Freese with the dual eligibility at 3,200 is, in my opinion, a big-time bargain. Josh Harrison projecting to get a lot of ownership at 3,600 for a second baseman. Cervelli is cheap, gets you a good catcher option. And like outfielders, basically work whenever. So I think they just have the right sort of combination of pieces today.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, they are cheap enough, and it's not like Miley's a great pitcher or anything. So I like Meadows. Actually, I think he's my favorite bat if he's leading off. So I'm glad you said that. And then Cervelli is probably my next favorite. Polanco and Bell I don't mind, but I don't know how many Pirate stacks I'm going to have, especially if they're going to be one of the chalkier teams. And then on the other side, I kind of mentioned it already, but the lefties. So Yelich, Shaw, Thames, Brad Miller. But like Jesus Aguilar has been a beast this year. Lorenzo Cain can hit righties. It's not an easy matchup for Tyon, even though I get why everyone wants to play him at that price.
We're missing J.A. Happ from the ownership projections.
Yeah, we are. Because I don't think he's technically listed as a starter yet for Toronto.
Gotcha. I just noticed it now. I was like, man, that's kind of weird. I had like a blank space here. I was like, wait, it's Happ. It's not some like weird call-up. Yeah, so I'm going to be smashing Pittsburgh. But I will be a little bit muted if Miley stays under-owned. I'm guessing you like the the Brewers lefties quite a bit here.
Yeah. So I mentioned Yelich, Shaw, Thames, Brad Miller. That's pretty much the extent of it. I don't mind a full Brewer stack. It's just good leverage on a shorter slate.
Yeah, they are. They're below average in aggregate ownership. So if Tyon's 32%. I think that paying up for Brewers bats is a really decent option to get different.
Yeah.
Thames and Yelich, you can get a first baseman, an outfielder there. Go to Shaw, get a third baseman, and now you're just spending money at unique positions. Even just a 3-man there if you wanted to go 5 elsewhere, I think works pretty well.
Yep.
Yeah, I like both teams. I'll be more interested in looking at the Brewers closer to lock if Tyon's ownership's not going anywhere, but if that lineup still looks the way that it does, I'll want to force in a little bit more Brewers.
Yeah, I'll have a bunch of Brewers for sure.
Yeah, Marquez went yard last night. Diamondbacks through Avila, Descalso. Yeah. Somebody, I guess it was probably a tweet. I don't remember where I was reading this. It almost had to be Twitter. Somebody had 4 guys in their lineup pitch yesterday.
Jeez.
Well, I guess a lot of people did if they had like a Diamondbacks stack, but you know what I mean. Jays and Red Sox. Blue Jays 4-run implied total. Red Sox 5. It's a 61% chance to win for the Red Sox. J.A. Happ going for the Blue Jays. David Price going for Boston. Price just 7,100, which is pretty wild to me. Projecting 25% ownership for Price. I have 20 right now. I'm double the field on him on FanDuel. I'll have a decent amount of David Price. The problem is I love the Blue Jays. I'm doubled up on the field on Blue Jays exposure on DraftKings, and they are the chalk stack on FanDuel. So I'm all over the place in this game, and I don't really know how to shake out what I need to do. I guess talk to me about Price and Happ to start.
Yeah, I think Price is going to be one of the more popular options at his price. We know he's good, right? And he's at home here against Toronto. He's going to get 9 righties probably. So that's worrisome for me. Does give up a little bit of hard contact, fly balls, still striking them out at a decent rate. But there is some power in this Blue Jays lineup that I'm worried about. Specifically, Grichuk, even though he doesn't show as being great against lefties, I think he should be able to hit lefties just fine. I don't know why. Like, am I looking at that right? This year, 48 WRC plus against righties or against lefties.
I don't know. I've got him in here with a positive 3% split against lefties.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. So maybe it's just a small sample thing this year, or maybe I just entered it in wrong. But
I mean, it could be perfectly right. There's a lot of regression there.
Yeah, Teoscar I love against Price. I don't mind Morales I love Smoke for 4,700. I think the Blue Jays will go under-owned on DK, and people will just throw in Price because he's one of the higher favorites and one of the cheaper pitchers as well.
Morales might be the best play of the day.
You think?
3,800. I've got him projected higher than Smoke, just naturally. $900 cheaper. I don't get to Smoke at all because of Morales' price.
Okay. I'm going to put in this new
And he's
Blue Jays line.
way better against lefties than he is against righties. Whereas Smoke is sort of the other way around.
I've got Morales, well, this year, I've got Morales being pretty bad against lefties, but he's been in and out of the lineup. So I think you're right that he can hit lefties very well.
I'm going to have just overwhelming amounts of Kendrys Morales. And then Russell Martin as a catcher is always just good.
Right.
Especially against a lefty.
Yep. Solarte, I think he's perfect. Like, I think all these guys are fine. So if I think that against Price, and he's going to get 9 righties, then I will certainly end up with some Blue Jays stacks.
I'm going to have more Boston by the end of this night, I think, than I do currently. Although they are my number 5 stack on FanDuel. They're only 8th, and I'm under the field on DK. Depending on what Hap's ownership is, which I don't expect it to be anything. But I'll want to make sure that I have some Boston just to be a little different.
Yeah. So what do you think of Hap here? People are asking in the chat.
I didn't really get him. 2% ownership on my end. Doesn't grade out really well. He has 4th lowest ceiling. Not a great value at 7,400. He's probably my least favorite pitcher of the slate.
Yeah, just a really tough spot for Hap. If this was the Boston team we were seeing a month ago or a month and a half ago, I would consider playing him just to be contrarian. And because Hap is a good pitcher, he's excellent against lefties. So I don't want much of Benintendi, Moreland, Holt, or Devers or Bradley if they're in the lineup. So it'll be the 3 big guys for me, the 3 5K plus guys besides Benintendi, Betts, JD, and Bogarts. And that's kind of always what I do when they're against a lefty, especially a good one like Hap. But Boston has turned it around against lefties over the last month. 20% K rate. That's one of the lowest in the league. 180 ISO, 119 WRC plus. They're getting on base at one of the highest rates in the MLB. So they positively regressed against lefties as we expected them to.
I really like this game in like a weird way. I'm all over too many different parts of it.
I mean, it's a good hitter's park and 2 decent hitting teams. With the Red Sox being awesome, obviously, you can see a game stack going off here.
Yeah, I
like both of these teams.
I just want something extreme from this game. Because I've got a lot of price, but I've also got the Blue Jays as one of my top 2 stacks. So I just want one of those 2 things to be extreme, whether it's Price rolling or the Blue Jays rolling. Just blow it out because I'll be on it.
Sure.
Anything else interesting here?
Think we covered it all. I like both sides, but I think if I'm full stacking, I'm avoiding the Red Sox lefties, and I'd probably rather full stack Toronto at their ownership.
Agreed. 9 righties if this shakes out correctly. Crazy. Nats and Mets. Nats 4.1 run implied total. Mets 2.7. It's a 66% chance to win for the Nats. Max Scherzer going for Washington. Steven Matz going for the Mets. Scherzer's the chalk today. 42% expected ownership. I've got him in 50% of my lines right now. We'll see where that shakes out closer to lock. But, obviously Scherzer in an incredible spot. Mets don't really strike out all that much. Although if Brandon Nimmo and Jose Bautista and Conforto are 3 of the first 4 hitters, I think that might be a little bit different for their stats because those guys K quite a bit. I don't really have anything interesting to say about Scherzer. He's Scherzer. Matz would be the guy that I think we would want to talk about, if anything. So, do you have any qualms with having a ton of Scherzer today?
No, I mean, not, especially if the Mets. Well, it's showing they're going to roll out a pretty decent lineup, especially the top four. So, I mean, that's, I guess, more scary than what they rolled out yesterday, but not worried about Nimmo and Bautista and Cabrera and Conforto like battling for great at-bats against Scherzer and fouling off a ton of pitches. So, yeah, he's awesome. Highest strikeout projection on the slate, I think. And 2.9 total at home is telling for the Mets. This is a team where Scherzer should just mow him down, as he usually does. So yeah, no issues with any amount of Scherzer, really.
Right. Same page. Same page. I like Mats a little bit.
I actually do too, and I mean, I get the play. So I wanted to see the ownership, and I'm comfortable with what we have him at right now. If he's going to be around 15%, that's where I'm comfortable playing him. I'm not comfortable playing him at chalk. I still think he's been pretty lucky, but he's going to get a handful of lefties here: Harper, Soto, and then even if Daniel Murphy's not in the lineup, then you get like Defoe and Matt Wieters from the right side. I'm just not worried about the bottom of this lineup. Michael Taylor strikes out a ton, so
I like Taylor a lot today. Just because of his price.
Sure. I mean, if he makes contact, he could be, he's awesome. He has those like 40-point games where he hits 2 doubles and a homer and looks awesome, but sometimes he just can't make contact.
I completely agree. He's a very boom bust.
Yeah.
So Nats are my number 3 stack on both sites. We're not projecting ownership to them. They are only 6% in the aggregate. I have 15% on FanDuel, 14 on DK. So I am just loading up, and it's a lot of the righties. Trey Turner is an elite play, in my opinion, today. Gets the platoon matchup, leading off. It's really, really hard to find something better than Trey Turner. Similarly for Rendon, for all the same reasons that I just said. And you're checking off a shortstop and third base option. I don't get a lot of Mark Reynolds, but 4,400 for Reynolds at first, I'm good. He would need dual eligibility to be a little bit more important for me.
Yeah, Trey Turner, I think, is my favorite play for hitters in this game, just because of how bad Mats is at holding on runners. He's one of the worst over the last few years, and I mean, we know what kind of speed Turner has. If he gets on, they should be sending him. Like, he should be able to run all over Mats. And I don't know, does Soto steal? I haven't been paying attention to that.
No idea.
Does he attempt? It doesn't look like he's got 1 stolen base this year, so not someone that I'm targeting for steals.
We'll go with no then.
Yeah. Rendon I like as well, just to match against the lefty. I think Rendon's a pretty awesome hitter. And then, I mean, if you want to go with the Nats stack, it's expensive. It is definitely expensive. Is this going to be the time where I'm not heavy on the stack against Mats and then they go nuts? I can just see it happening. I've been so anti-Mats.
I'm so heavy on the Nats right now, so I think you should be heavy on him.
I mean, God, I can't get this guy right. Steven Matz. He's been my kryptonite. One of my kryptonites all year.
I'm gonna have so much I'm gonna have so much Defoe that it's gonna honestly make me sick.
Dude, I think Defoe's pretty bad.
Yeah, I have a lot. 23% on FanDuel right now at 2,100. We're projecting 1%, so I think I could safely bring that down a bit to be over the field.
Yeah.
I've got him in a quarter of my lineups. Not recommended, but I'll have him in like 10 to 12% just because I get to have Turner and Rendon with him, and 2,100 for a second baseman is basically like a punt. So
yeah, that's understandable.
That allows me to go to like, I don't know, Stanton and Judge and something else.
Yeah.
With that salary savings.
But they got to go against Kluwer.
True. I'm just naming like expensive power bets. Anything else here? I'm a little interested in the 13% expected ownership on FanDuel, 10% on DK for Michael Conforto, but if I'm gonna I don't want a one-off against Scherzer.
I mean, that's what I
Double
want to do.
digits.
Oh. Yeah, I wouldn't want to have double-digit one-offs. I mean, I will probably have a little bit of Nimmo, Cabrera, Conforto because while Scherzer is awesome against lefties, he's less awesome than he is against righties.
Yeah.
And you could see him making a mistake against Nimmo or Cabrera, Conforto, and then taking advantage of it.
Sure.
I don't think it's awfully likely, but could definitely happen, and that could be. I mean, they're just cheap, right? They're cheap and against a power righty.
Yeah, I mean, Conforto's 2,300 on FanDuel. I would like him as a one-off if he wasn't 13% owned, but, I mean, what are you gaining if you take him there? I'd rather just have another $2,300 outfielder that has no ownership.
Yeah, you can usually find those on FanDuel pretty easily.
Yeah. Alrighty. Yankees and Indians. Yankees, 3.6 run implied total. Indians, 3.4. It's a 52% chance to win for the Yanks. Luis Severino going for New York. Corey Kluber going for Cleveland. This one will be interesting to talk about. This will be the I'm going to go fill my coffee game. Corey Kluber projected 26% ownership. I am right there with the field. I've got 29. While Judge and Stanton are scary, they also strike out a lot. So this game can go one of two ways. We're not projecting any real ownership to the bats here. The interesting thing that I'm taking away, 10% ownership projected for Luis Severino. I got 0. So fill everybody in on the virtues of Corey Kluber and Luis Severino while I fill in my coffee cup.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm surprised at Kluber's ownership, honestly. I don't understand why he would be. I mean, I get it, the price and the name. He's 10-2. You could probably fit him with Tyon and get all the bats, but I don't think Kluber is even one of like my top 3 or 4 favorite options tonight. He's going to get this Yankees team that doesn't strike out that much. I mean, yeah, you've got Stanton, Judge, and Greg Bird. Bird is obviously hitting a little bit better. Nice call by Alex last night on the home run. This Yankees team is still definitely dangerous. And then Kluber had trouble missing bats against Oakland. I don't know. I think his velocity was fine and his movement was fine, but I don't think Oakland, I think, is a tougher matchup than people give them credit for, but the Yankees are obviously very tough. So I think even a little bit of a contrarian Yankees stack is not the worst play on a slate where no one's going to play them and their prices are depressed. So you've got Judge, Hicks, Stanton, Gregorius all under 5K, Bird at 4K. I mean, if I had to guess, I don't think that Kluber gets blown up here, but I think the Yankees have a better shot to get to Kluber than the Indians do Severino for reference. I think Severino is awesome, and he's 10-8. I was assuming he was going to be low owned, and I like that he's going to be low owned. It's a tough spot in Cleveland, of course, but once you get past those top 5 or so for the Indians, maybe 6 if you include Kipnis, it's going to be pretty smooth sailing for Severino, I think. And I think he's one of the best pitchers in the MLB right now. So I'm going to have more Severino, I think, than Kluber. And I don't want to target many bats against Severino, and I'm okay targeting a few bats against Kluber.
I'm back.
I hear you.
Okay. Where'd you land on Severino?
I like him.
Okay.
I like Severino, I think, more than Kluber, actually.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah. I mean, I like Kluber, but I don't understand that ownership. I'd rather have a few guys over Kluber.
Interesting. I'm not going to end up with much of any Severino tonight. Grades out 6th in upside, but very, very low chance of being a top value pitcher. That sort of combination is the type of guy that I end up trying to ignore a little bit. Ended up being similar to McCullers last night. Now, obviously, Severino could have a nice night, he's really good. So it's not like I don't recognize that talent. But at 10-8 in this matchup against those Indians bats, he's a guy that I will likely not get to. I'm fine with having almost no ownership to him. I'm a little surprised at how under the field I am on Yankees and Indians bats, but if ownership holds, I'll likely force in a couple extra lines of both teams, just because I see the chances of one of them popping off to be decent, I guess, is probably the best way to say it.
Yeah, I'm more on the Yankees than the Indians, but these are two good teams. Well, the Indians are debatable because their record against I saw something about how their record against their division is insanely good, and then against everyone else they're like below average, like they're under 500. So they're just beat up on their awful division, and that's it.
Yeah, I will likely have more Yankees than I will Indians, just to be on the opposite side of Kluber's ownership. But I kind of just want to pay up for these bats just in general. Even at this low implied total, I'm going to take my chances.
So the reason I like Severino, or one of the reasons, is because he's one of those guys where I don't think he should ever be one of the lower owned pitchers on the slate in his price range, and he's going to be that tonight. So I want to take advantage, especially if Kluber and Scherzer and whoever else, Paxton, Stripling, if these guys are going to be substantially higher owned than him, I think he's got just as good of a chance to pay off point per dollar as those guys.
I don't know. I have him dramatically different than Kluber tonight.
That's reflected in the ownership, so the public's going to be with you more than me.
Yeah, the ownership basically matches my expectations. I have Kluber like 2-1 in terms of like success, being a top 2 scoring pitcher. That's similar to what the ownership is at. I just simply didn't get to Severino. I'm a little scared of it. He could roll. He can go out 7 innings, roll out 10 Ks, and make me look stupid. That's for sure. But as of right now, like that's where I'm at. Severino doesn't look like he's going to be someone I get to.
Okay.
Alrighty, Rays and Twins. We got some weather here. So at some point in time, Jake's going to talk us through the Minnesota weather. But 4.1 run implied total for the Rays, 3.9 for the Twins, 51% chance to win for the Rays. Blake Snell might be feeling a little salty in this one, going for Tampa. Kyle Gibson going for Minnesota. Gibson not super interesting, only a 3% expected ownership. He has the lowest upside of any pitcher on the slate for me. I'd rather have some of the guys that are cheaper than him. Blake Snell, projected ownership tonight? 1%.
Yeah, I mean, that should have to do more with the weather than the matchup, because I think I love both of these pitchers, and especially Snell. He's another one that's on the slate that's been one of the better pitchers in the MLB this year. 3 straight awesome outings, going at least 7 innings, 9 strikeouts. And then the Twins are pretty bad against lefties. They rank 4th in K rate, bottom 5 ISO, bottom 5 WRC plus. And I figured he was going to go overlooked, and it looks that way. So I'm hoping this weather stays bad until like 4 or 5, and then it starts to clear up, because I will have just tons of Snell. He's another one where he should never be one of the lowest owned pitchers on the slate, and he's going to be that. I get it with the weather. If you want to avoid him, there are other great options, but if this game even looks like it's going to play for a few innings, I'm going to have a ton of Snell.
Yeah, I'm going to end up with basically no Snell, whether it's a gorgeous sunny day or raining. Snell is not my guy. Hate the price point. 11.7 is too high for this slate. He grades out middle of the pack in terms of upside. He grades out bottom of the pack in terms of value. Snell is not going to be a guy that I'm looking to at all. I don't really like any part of him. So we are going to be very different than, and apparently I'm very different than the chat. Chat seems to be on Snell quite a bit. You guys so far seem to be in the minority, so that could work out really well for the chat, but I'm going to be more along the lines of the public here.
What's not to like about Snell?
His price point, for sure.
He's earned that price point.
I've got him projected for 15.4 fantasy points. A
Oh
full
my
point
God.
less than Jamison Tyon at $6,000 more in price.
Oh my goodness, I think that's a ridiculous projection. 15.4?
Yep.
What is he averaging on the season? Like 22?
I don't know, probably.
Man, you got a bug in your projection.
Apparently, I don't.
No, I mean if he's not your favorite, that's fine. Like I just see him getting so many swinging strikes here. The Twins are going to have at least a few lefties in there, and they just don't. Like Dozier's not even hitting lefties this year, and he's been like their lefty masher over the last couple of years. Just sets up to be a lineup he can dominate, and he's dominated much tougher lineups than this. So at minuscule ownership, I'm all over him.
Look at chat killing me here. You know who's not on an island? Me. You guys are the ones on the island. His projected ownership is 1% right now.
Well, that's because
I am speaking the public word here. It's not because of the weather, I don't think. Minnesota is the chalkiest stack on DraftKings right now.
I think that is
by a mile.
Ridiculous.
By a mile.
That is ridiculous.
Is it?
That is 100% should not be the case against Snell. I don't care if they go off for 80 runs. A stack against a guy that's been this good should not be the highest owned stack when you've got Wade Miley going and Steven Matz going and Happ against the Red Sox. Shouldn't happen.
People think I'm like actively projecting Blake Snell to be bad. These guys are all just letters and numbers in this spreadsheet, man. I don't give a single shit who any of these people are. It's just, they might as well be fake players. I could play DFS on a video game. It's not like...
What?
If I had the stats, like this could... Baseball didn't even have to be real.
No, I'm not trying to tell Josh off. I'm just saying my side. No, people in the chat's like, get him. No, look, Josh is a successful DFS player. I think Snell should be projected higher, but that's why I get to make my own lineups.
Right, yeah. We'll talk shit about each other tomorrow, one way or the other.
Yeah.
It won't matter.
Or this game we get rained out because
true.
That would just be too perfect.
Common sense, Snell would be the top pitcher of the night. I couldn't agree less with that statement.
I don't know if it's a slam dunk. I mean, I think you could make that case. You could also make the case for him being the
common sense. Max Scherzer is the best pitcher on the slate. There's no argument for that.
Oh, best pitcher or best play? Like best pitcher, it's not even close.
Right.
It's Max.
Yeah.
You can make a case. Okay, Snell's been whatever 90-something% of what Scherzer's been, and he's priced $1,600 cheaper. Like there, you can get to a way where Snell's the best play on the slate, but obviously you don't think so. I just think he's awesome.
I'm a little like I'm surprised that he grades out as low as he does for me, but I'm cool with it. Like when I look at all the extended numbers, I'm fine. And if his ownership stays at like 3, 4, 5%, I won't even care. It won't hurt me. Nobody's going to win the tournament by taking Blake Snell, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, especially if Scherzer or someone goes for 30, but it will give you different lineup construction, which I'm always interested in because he's in a price range by himself pretty much, except for Paxton. But I think we can agree Paxton's pretty overpriced, right?
Yeah, I mean, I have the same sort of stance on Paxton as I do on Snell tonight.
I think I understand that one a little bit more because I'm kind of there with you.
Look, it's when push comes to shove, it's baseball. Blake Snell had a negative 1.3 game against Baltimore in May. Like,
Sure.
This shit can go squirrely.
For sure.
What is Fantasy Cruncher is notoriously high. What do they have him at? 19.97. But they project significantly higher than I do. I mean, they have 4 more points on Scherzer, and I'm high on Scherzer, so. Yeah, Snell's not going to be it, so here's what we'll do. Tweet at me if it goes wrong. Talk shit. I don't care. It's fun, man.
It's DFS is what it's about.
Right, like, I'll be backing it up with my wallet, whether positively or negatively for myself, so I hope I'm right. I'm wrong a lot, but I've been right more than I've been wrong this season so far.
Yeah, don't be mad at Josh.
I'll be mad at me. I don't care.
He's giving you the goods. He's giving you his side. I'm giving you my side.
Yeah.
This is what this show's all about.
Yeah, it'd be a real boring show if we agreed the whole time.
Oh, yeah, Scherzer, awesome. Oh, yeah. You should play Scherzer. Oh, okay.
Would you say Snell's ownership gets to like the 5%-ish range by lock?
I think it's going to be one of those Bauer-type plays from a couple days ago, and it may not work out like that. He probably won't have 40 points, but I think 30 is definitely attainable, assuming the weather stays somewhat dry. I just think there are a lot of strikeouts to be had in this Twins lineup.
I would agree with that. McCod, Snell is the DeRozan of the MLB for Josh. It might just be. Today is sort of that, that Snell is very DeRozan-y, but it's not just Snell. It's Severino, Snell, and Paxton. So I'm grabbing all 3. One of those guys is going to have a really good game. I'm almost positive of it. The question isn't necessarily does Snell play well. It's does Snell matter at 11-7?
That's fair. And there are a lot of options. I think there are going to be 3 or 4 guys that reach 30-plus DK points for pitchers. And Snell may be one of them, but if Kluber also matches him, then it's not going to matter that much.
Now, I'll say this much. I am probably in the minority in having Jameson Taillon projected ahead of Blake Snell.
I would think you would be in the minority.
Actually, let's check it out. Let's see what SaberSim has on FanGraphs, and then I'll see if RotoQL has it out as well. So on DK, we've got Snell at 16.79 and Taillon at 15.96. So Snell about a point higher.
Oh.
RotoQL not updated.
Does RotoQL still have a site?
Do they not?
I don't know.
I used them earlier this year.
Okay.
I bounce around to some other sites just to see what they have and all.
Yeah, you should.
I
would recommend anyone do
still
that.
Active. I mean, look, I recommend us more than anybody else, but SaberSim and RotoQL have freely available projections on FanGraphs, so I'm not telling anybody anything. I'm not giving away anything proprietary. This shit's out there.
Yeah.
It's always nice to take a look at other things. If you're not paying attention to what other people are doing, you're probably making a mistake.
You should be learning from other players and other sites. And
So Snell is projected 7th overall by SaberSim.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, there are a lot of good pitchers on the slate, so Snell's not your favorite?
I'm interested to see where everybody is now. Look, it could be like an issue. I could have a negative sign where a plus sign belongs, and I'm stupid as shit.
Alex has his.
Yeah, where do we have him ranked? We don't have ranks out yet, do we?
Perfect pitcher. He's got perfect pitcher tonight, so I wonder if he'll mention him as a contrarian play. I'm assuming he will, because he likes guys in different price ranges, get off the chalk and such, but we'll see what he has to say about Snell, so I'm sure he'll be mentioned somewhere in there.
Whenever the first ranks come out, I'll be able to let you know if he's going to like him or not. Because he'll be in and around that 12% number perfect pitcher that I have. We don't differ much. So my guess is he's going to come up as a B ranking and an E value when it comes out.
Probably somewhere around there.
That will be my guess. We'll see where we're at there. Yeah, I love those perfect pitcher articles. All right, let's move on. We've spent way too much time on Snell. Giancarlo. I don't think Snell is a good option in cash at all because of that ownership.
I think you probably go max in cash with, I don't even know.
If Snell's not going to be owned, I don't like the idea of going to Snell. There's no real benefit for it.
Yeah. We should talk about Gibson quick. I like Gibson.
Okay. Holy shit. Are we on different stuff today? What a great slate.
So I'm expecting a pitching duel here if the weather holds off. Gibson's slider has just been absolutely nasty. And for some reason, he doesn't put a string of good performances together, but maybe it's the start of one. So he struggled in his last start against the Orioles in the first inning. Got hit pretty hard. And then was just completely shut them down for the rest of the game. 7 innings, 9 strikeouts, a 19.3% swinging strike rate was his highest of the year. I know it's Baltimore, but Tampa Bay does strike out above league average against righties. And then if you just look at these hitters, they're not all that scary. Robertson from righty-righty, Echeverria righty-righty, Malik Smith will strike out. C.J. Cron will strike out a ton. Wilson Ramos, Bowers is a little scary, and Kiermaier. But, man, I think Gibson could have another 7 or 8 strikeout performance here.
I don't know. Is it just like the Minnesota Jakes love clouding your brain here? Rays second most owned stack on the slate behind the Twins. People are loving the bats here. Jake is all in on the pitching.
Yeah, I am. I mean, it's only an 8-run total. It's not like this is like a 9.5 or something where.
Yeah, I think it's a price thing more than anything else. And
it should be a price thing with Gibson. He should be chalky even as a pivot off of Tyon.
I have Gibson dead last in perfect pitcher.
Interesting.
Yeah, him and Miley tied at 5%. People freaking out about the weather. A lot of this discussion was way more macro than just Snell, as a person, but more along the logistics of how good of a value he is at that salary. Snell is just an example for today. Don't worry, I'm going to have the exact same conversation in about 5 seconds for James Paxton, so be ready. If the Twins and Rays really are chalky, and I would guess that this weather is going to bring that down, but it'll be a little less interesting for the bats. Look, you got to pay attention to the weather. If the weather stays yucky, no one's going to Snell and Gibson regardless.
Right.
And it won't matter. So.
We'll see. I'll give you the live weather update. I live 20 minutes from the stadium, so.
It's going to be outside the stadium giving Blake Snell steroid gummy bears or something like that.
Yeah, of course. Got to do what you got to do. Thanks, Shauna.
Yeah, Shauna, I think you asked a question earlier about having to watch an ad before this started. The YouTube channel got monetized a week ago, so you should be seeing those regularly. Apologies, but every little bit helps us. So, yeah, if you can click on it and you want to be super awesome about it, that's great. I get it, ads suck, but they're helpful for us.
Yeah, so sorry about that.
If you have YouTube Premium, you won't see them anyway. So.
We gotta make some money somehow. So.
Oh yeah, did you go yard at all last night?
I did not. I had a couple off the fence. I think I had 2 or 3 triples in the 2 games. So no home runs last night. The wind was blowing in. So
okay.
It was blowing in, but it was humid as shit. So I don't know.
See, people were asking should they roster Jake, and I was like, no, he's too expensive. He doesn't grade out that well. And then all of a sudden, 2
triples. I bet leadoff though. So
okay. I heard the platoon advantage wasn't there for you.
It was not. I was against a bunch of righties.
So. That's tough sometimes. Wind blowing in. I was fading Jake.
That's fair. I'll be better next week.
There you go. Shit. All right, let me intro this next one. Mariners and Angels. Here we go. 3.9 run implied total for the Mariners. 4.1 for the Angels. James Paxton going for Seattle. Tyler Skaggs going for Anaheim, LA, whatever the hell they are. So James Paxton, 1% projected ownership. I've got Boo! 0. Tyler Skaggs, a little chalky, 14%. I'm under the field there a little bit. This one's more, I prefer Seattle bats than I prefer anything else. So what are you looking at pitching-wise?
Yeah, I'm not crazy about the pitching here, but I might have to pivot if the Twins game looks like it's going to be rained out or have some weather issues in game. I think Paxton is overpriced. I agree with you there. I probably won't end up with much Paxton. Just because the Angels don't really strike out that much. There's not a lot of upside, and you're paying for upside for 12.5. Plus, he's on the road, 9 righties, all that stuff. So I'm not crazy about Paxton. Don't want to target too heavily against him, but you can go with Trout, Simmons, and Upton, I think. Those guys are all fine for me. Skaggs on the other side does struggle with some righty power, and I'll be going to Haniger and Cruz. I feel like I mention them every single day, but they're just good hitters against both-handedness and especially against lefties. So I'll have those two. I'll have some Healy and maybe sprinkle in some Segura as well.
Yeah, I would have liked to go to the Angels a little bit to try to be different. We're not projecting any ownership there. But if Paxton's not getting any ownership, there's no real utility. So I'm expecting to be relatively quiet on the Angels, barring any changes. I have so much D. Gordon, Segura, and Cruz. It's insane right now. But so does the public. 9% aggregate on DK. I've got 11, 8% aggregate on FanDuel. I've got 9. So they're like a secondary stack for me. Just a couple guys that look really good in particular. And a lot of that is positionally with Gordon and Segura. I don't love the idea of lefty-lefty, but when it happens, if it's going to happen at leadoff, I'm willing to take my chances. Did you just mention how Skaggs is at holding runners? I'm not sure if I heard that or not.
I did not. I can look up quick. He's a lefty. Most lefties that aren't named John Lester are going to be well above average, but I can look at Skaggs. Oh, he's actually really bad.
Nice.
What? I wonder why that is. He must have a very long delivery. I haven't watched too much Skaggs. I'm trying to think. Have I watched some Skaggs? I don't know, but he looks actually very bad at holding runners. So thanks for pointing that out, because now I like Segura even more.
There you go.
I like Gordon a little bit, even lefty-lefty. I mean, dual position eligibility makes it a little bit easier, and he's only 3,600.
I'm so happy I have a lot of Dodgers, which we'll get to, but I still have to get a Dodgers home run. Still need the A's. I can't believe you got all 30 and Alex doesn't have it.
Well, that's just because I play more volume than Alex. Everybody knows that.
Exactly. That's probably what it is. Lets you know how often he's on the Braves. Sounds like a smart dude. Skaggs at 14% is wild to me. Feels like a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fine pivot off of Price. I'm not in love with Price. So if he was going to be like 5% owned, I would be a lot more interested in Skaggs, but nah.
It's Muncie night. Yeah, if Muncie goes yard, I don't get credit for it, because I won't have him.
It's always Muncie night.
Unless you're in my house, at which point it's never Muncie night.
Come on.
I need Muncie's salary to drop to like 3,800 so I can jam him into a line. Anything interesting here outside of Trout? Jeffrey Marte on FanDuel, if he's minimum salary, have at it. That's all I got. I mean, it's like the least interesting thing in the world.
I can't add much to that. So
you can get to a David Fletcher, cheap, Mike Trout, Jeffrey Marte, someone else stack and barely spend any money. So that's all. I won't be popular. Final game. Dodgers and Padres. Dodgers 4.3 run implied total. Padres 3.2. It's a 63% chance to win for the Dodgers. Ross Stripling going for LA. Tyson Ross going for the Padres. I love Stripling here. 21% expected ownership. I'm at 24. I'd say that Stripling is probably the best combination of upside and price. Although Tyon is kind of breaking things at 5,700. I like Stripling a ton. He's been really good this year. In Petco, No fear of the Padres whatsoever. They've been bad against righties all year. Stripling is my dude. What are you thinking of Stripling, and are you looking at Tyson Ross at all?
I'm not really looking at Ross. Stripling, yeah, he's been awesome, especially against righties. 25% K rate, very little hard contact, very few line drives. XFIP looks awesome. It's getting swinging strikes, getting chases, everything I look for. And then you just like, if you like looking at game logs, just look at his last like 7 or 8 starts, just solid all the way around. I don't know that he's got the highest upside, but he does have a couple of 9 and 10 strikeout games this year. So, and actually one was his 10 strikeout game was against San Diego. So in a huge park, I mean, you got to love him as like a mid-tier option. He's a really good play.
Agreed.
If I don't end up with a lot of Stripling, I'm not going to hate it, because I think there are some guys that have huge upside on this slate, and I don't know that he has that. Let me look at his pitch count, actually. I want to see how long he's been going, how long they've allowed him to go.
Giancarlo, Stripling for cash, absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I don't mean have him 100%, but I mean he is without a doubt an excellent cash option here. In San Diego, against a bad team, against righties, decent amounts of ownership, so you're staying with the field a bit there. I love it.
So Stripling has gone 96, 96. Like he doesn't go very deep, but you're only paying $9K for him, so I can get past that. That's the one hole I will poke in Stripling. I don't want to target many bats against him, although Hosmer and Asuaje are also okay, because you got to get bats somewhere if you're not targeting all these elite pitchers.
Yeah. I would. I'd probably have some Snell if he was priced like Stripling.
I mean, I would have a ton of Snell. I'm going to have a ton of Snell if that game looks like it's going to play. But if he was 9,100, yeah, I would be like 75%.
No, I just looked at this. Yeah, I filtered it differently.
What are we looking at?
Where did Stripling go? I thought Stripling's like relatively highly ranked in starter XFIP.
Oh yeah, so he's got a 274 XFIP this year. Overall, that probably counts as relief appearances, but
yeah, I'm trying to filter back to it because I just wanted to talk about it for a second. But he might be outside of the. What'd you say it was? 274.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how many innings he's thrown?
Let's see. Stripling.
I didn't know if you had it right.
89 and a third.
Okay. So, for some reason, I was just looking at this. Stripling has the second lowest XFIP on the season of people that have thrown, a comparable amount of innings as a starter. He's just been crazy good.
Yeah, he has been.
And 318 BABIP, so it's not even like pumped up on hit luck or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike Blake Snell, who's got a 234 BABIP, regression on the way.
Oh God,
I had to. Dodgers bats. I have 4% Max Muncy. What up, people?
There you go.
Max Muncy is the GOAT. He's the guy that I always have. Now, tons of Turner, tons of Bellinger, tons of Grandal, tons of Peterson. I don't normally love going into Petco, but on a 7-game slate, I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah, I absolutely love the Dodgers, especially with these power lefties against Tyson Ross, giving up a ton of pulled balls. Line drive percentage, almost 30%. That's one of the highest on the slate, if not the highest against lefties. 176 whip. I mean, this is a very, very stackable team, and they might not be hitting homers, but they should be able to hit Ross hard. So Dodgers, one of my favorite stacks. I like that they're priced up in a bad park because the hitting, even in the good parks tonight, is not all that great besides maybe Boston. So love the Dodgers. Love that they're on the road, and I'm not worried about their ownership getting too out of hand. So Muncie only 7%. That is a steal.
It's not a steal. He's poorly priced.
No, he should be like 6K, like Trout.
Who said it? DFS Cash talking about Maeda only going 5 innings. Maeda threw 92 pitches last night, so I don't have a problem whatsoever with getting yanked after 5 innings if you've already thrown 92 pitches.
Yeah, 95 is like his max usually, so that's the bad part when you're playing Dodgers pitchers is if they're at like 89, 87 after 5, they're probably coming out unless it's Kershaw.
And they should. That's the thing.
I don't know. 89, 87, 92, I think you at least let him get another batter or two. That's not, I mean, I'm obviously not a manager, but
I have no problem bringing Maeda out of that game after 5 and 95 pitches.
I mean, I'm not gonna like worry about it all day, but
No.
you'd like him to go another inning or have the chance.
Oh, like as a DFS guy, sure, I would like him to stay out there. But if I were managing a team, Kenta Maeda is not good enough to go throw 100+ pitches in the 6th. I would rather have a fresh bullpen arm and start, playing matchups. Yeah, unless you're the Kershaw, Scherzer, Kluber guy.
Bauer.
Sure, right now, yeah. Oh, it definitely limits pitchers' upside. I just meant more from like a actual try to win a baseball game strategy, not necessarily DFS. Of course, I want the guys that I have in DFS to play longer.
Yeah. Did you see Marco got pulled for after 82 pitches?
That I didn't know.
Yeah.
That one's rough.
Yeah.
How many innings?
So, I think he got
7.
Did he get 7, Giancarlo? I think it was 7.
I have it here, so. If he went 7, I don't have a huge problem with it, depending on who was coming up.
Could you imagine if it was 8 innings, they pulled him at 82 pitches?
Yeah, I mean, if it's 3-0, kinda.
I don't know.
Depends who's up, If you're about to go 1, 2, 3, I'd rather bring in a fresh reliever.
That makes sense.
If it's 7, 8, 9, fucking go get it, We want to look at some crunches?
Yeah.
For some reason, it's not letting me scroll down. Re-click on this. I think I deleted it. I don't know what EV means in that. William Kwok.
Myers 100-mile-an-hour exit velocity over the last 15 days.
Exit velocity. Gotcha. Where did my crunches go? All my DK crunches went away.
There's probably an error because you didn't have enough Blake Snell.
Here's what we'll do. I'll run 100 fresh lines. We'll bounce over to FanDuel while it crunches.
So this is a lot to talk about for a 7-game slate.
Yeah. What are you gonna
That
do?
total in the Cleveland Yankees game, I think, has dropped considerably since last night, at least a half run.
That might put me in bid on Severino, get you up to that 10% mark.
Severino is favored on the road against Kluber. That's telling.
That's crazy.
I think that's how it should be, though. I think Vegas got it right. Vegas usually has it right, but
Yeah. Alrighty, FanDuel peeps. Let's take a look at the ownership so we can get a good idea of who we want to go with. DK is... Oh my god, DK is just done. Sorry, FanDuel peeps, we're going to DK. It's already done. People are going to freak out.
Tyon Scherzer, Pirates.
Give me 2.
Scherzer, just go Scherzer, Tyon. Let's see what that looks like.
Scherzer Tyon?
Yeah.
Okay. This one should be looking tasty.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
By the way, that's why your Dozier guy gets chalk. There he is in the first lineup.
Yeah, absolutely no chance. Dozier should be chalk.
I mean, I would agree with you. Since Snell won't get any ownership, there's no real need to be chalky on Dozier.
I don't know. Is second base that bad today where you need chalk Brian Dozier?
You can go to Gordon or... I mean, it's... All right, you could see this. D. Gordon, Brad Miller, Josh Harrison, David Fletcher, Joe Wendell, Brock Holt.
Yeah, give me Kinsler, Gordon.
Give me Dozier.
Yeah, no thanks.
I like that lineup. Tyon, Scherzer, on Blue Jays that I like.
Yep.
Two-man Pirates. Are there any non-Pirates slanted ones? Mariners with a Jock, Marte, David Freese. Any teams you're looking at in particular from a hitting perspective here? Nats?
No, I mean, hitting's tough tonight. I mean, I love the Dodgers. And then after that, I don't love a ton of teams.
Let me lock in...
you can do Brewers.
Snell quick. We'll see what we get, since he's not really going to come up for me in this exercise. There's 20 lineups of Blake Snell for all you Blake Snell crazies. How about five-man Pirates, Jake Bauers, Kiermaier, and Trey Turner? I like this second one here. Morales, Gurriel, JD, one off.
Yeah. Full Nat stack. Yeah.
That's not bad. Getting a little bit more Jake Bauers than I would like, but...
I like Bauers. I think he's pretty scary against Gibson.
There's a Dodgers, Gurriel, Grechik, David Freese with Snell and Matz. That'll be a unique lineup for sure.
Yeah. I like it.
I mean, if I were going to do Snell, then I would want to have probably Tyon, one of the chalky pitchers.
I'd go Tyon, Matz, or Gibson probably.
Yeah. A lot of Blake Snell Tyon there. Somebody said Snell, Severino. They didn't come up. I would have to lock them both. Look at FanDuel quickly, just for poops and ha-has. I'm double the field on Price and Tyon. Scherzer super chalk. I wouldn't even know who to look at on FanDuel.
I mean, it's all going to come up the same, right? 4-4?
4-3-1 today.
Okay.
Should be 4-3-1 generally today. Or at least, I think that's what I clicked on, based on the slate size. Let's look at Kluber. I feel like he's a little underrepresented today. Yeah, I'll do a 4-man Pirates, 3-man Blue Jays Mookie Betts line.
Yeah.
Trey Turner, only 3,900 on FanDuel is kind of insane. It's just these are so much less fun. Oh, there's Max Muncy. Max Muncy one-off, obviously coming up in my lineups.
Of course.
Jack Shell. Yeah, I set maximum exposure on everybody. On a day like today, for hitters, it's 33%. Tony Ripa, how close are these lines you're crunching on the video to the ones I'm entering in a contest? Simultaneously close and not close. I mean, this is what I would enter into the contest if lineups locked at 10:30. But no, I mean, barring any changes, I'm going to have a ton of Blue Jays, a ton of Pirates, and these are going to look super similar. It all depends on how many guys end up sitting, basically.
Yeah. I don't run my crunches until like 4 Eastern, so like at the earliest.
Yeah, I run 150 lines each morning so that we have something to talk about, and I have placeholders.
Yeah.
I don't really care how they come out.
For sure.
When would you guys do a 4-4 stack on FanDuel? I generally do 4-4, probably any 10 or higher slate game wise.
I go 4-4. I go 4-3-1 on FanDuel or 4-4.
Well, I try to go 4-4, but more often than not, I'm going to get a pitcher from a good team. So it's usually going to be 4-3-1.
Yeah.
The goal of stacking is basically trying to get outlier team performances. So as the games shrink on a particular slate, you're less likely to get 2 individual team outlier performances. So
yep.
The more games, the more stacking. The less games, the less stacking. That's a weird way to say it, and probably incredibly poor way to say it, but that's sort of the gist. Any other questions? Otherwise, we're getting out of here. Jake, any thoughts on the early slate today? I haven't looked at it. Guess not.
Forgot about it.
It's a
Cahill's going to be chalk. Robbie Ray's going to be chalk because the bats are so expensive. I honestly don't have many thoughts, but I think Freeland is super interesting if he's going to be like one of the lower owned pitchers on the slate. So that's probably where I would go. I'd go Freeland and then either Ray or Cahill. But if I was like making 10 laps, I would for sure have some Morton in there and see what you could do with the bats. Because Morton is so expensive, but he's got a ton of upside. And you could see the rest of the pitchers getting rocked. And I don't see Morton getting rocked here.
There you go. Tune in live stream tonight, 6 o'clock, Chris and Jake. I'll have quick hits out a little later today. Then tomorrow...
Oh, Morton's chalk, Tom's saying.
Ooh.
I didn't see that. I must have missed that. Oh, okay. All right. I saw Robbie Ray, number 1. Morton's chalk? I thought he would be low owned because he's so highly priced, and the bats are where everyone wants. Well, I still like Freeland a ton because people just aren't going to be on him, I guess. I mean, it's not a great matchup, but 26% ownership, that's the lowest on the slate for pitching, and I don't think he's that far behind Ray or Cahill, even though I love Cahill, and especially love him going up against a bunch of righties. I don't think that Freeland's that far behind.
You guys and your crazy 2-game slates. So tomorrow we'll be back, normal show. But live stream, if I'm correct, will be you and I.
It will.
For tomorrow.
It will. Yes.
Exciting stuff. No Chris Spags tomorrow for the live stream. It'll be Jake and I going live on a Friday for a weirdo Friday stream. Should be great. Yeah. I'm gonna get some beers. It'll be great.
Me too. It'll be fun.
I said great way too many times there.
It'll be great.
It will be great. All right, guys. Best of luck tonight. Try to avoid Blake Snell as much as you can. I will talk to you in the quick hits, but you won't be able to talk back. We'll see you in the morning. Bring your hot takes on Blake Snell. I'm ready for you. Later, people.